Let's face it, no one wants to go down the road feeling like a basketball being dribbled with an expansion joint feeling like a slam dunk. So this week, we are going to talk about the suspension, axles, brakes, all that stuff. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, it is Josh with Premier Truck Sales and Rental. Thanks again for tuning in this week. We're continuing on in our series about the T280. Now, we've covered in our previous videos a ton of the great stuff about this truck. And do yourself a favor, if you haven't watched those, go back and watch those once you're done with this one. This is a really great new truck. Now, that being said, we need to continue on with this because we want to make sure that the rest of the stuff is up to snuff with what the truck has for it. So, that being said, this week we are diving into the wheels, tires, suspension, things of that nature to show you how well these trucks are put together and to make sure that you're going to get that return on investment. You know what the gig. I'm going to start up front again. So up front here, we're going to start our way on the outside and work our way in. The X Multi-Energy Michelin tires, they're an 11R 22.5. Once again, it's a size that you can find anywhere and everywhere. And if you ever have an issue, these are a very common tire. That being said, they're mounted to Alcoa wheels with the level 1 polish. We go with the Alcoa wheels because of the durability and the weight savings that you get with them. That alone means you're less likely to have an issue when you throw something super heavy on the back. The other thing about them, they look good too, no? Inside of those, we have a 14.6 hub. Once again, this is that ubiquitous parts. They are everywhere. Replacement parts are easy to come by. You shouldn't ever have downtime because of a hub issue. Mounted up on those hubs, we've got 15-inch drum brakes. Once again, the standard. They're everywhere. Further in, this sits on a 10,000-pound axle with 10,000-pound springs. Once again, this is a 26,000-pound rated truck, so we want to make sure that we stick with those ratings. The inserts for these springs, rather than it being a rubber insert, we went with the threaded inserts. Once again, it's an inexpensive thing to do up front that gives you a ton of longevity and prevents downtime, because the last thing you want to do is be sitting in the shop because of a spring bushing. Now, the one thing that is heavier duty with this too is this uses a 13.2 power steering setup. So that is a big truck power steering setup. And this is one of the things that I've mentioned in other videos. This is not a light truck that has been upfit with things to get it to a certain weight rating. This is actually a heavy duty truck that has been brought down. When you do that, you get the durability of that heavy truck in something that's rated for 26,000 pounds. So let's head to the back. I'll show you a couple of things that we've got there. So let's go ahead and talk about everything that we've got at the back end here. So this is the X Multi tire from Michelin. Once again, it's Michelin front and back on this. 11R 22.5s also. Now this tire has a fairly aggressive pattern, but it's not noisy. And that's one of the things that I love about it. This, you're not gonna have as many problems getting stuck. If you do, we're going to talk about that in a second. So those, once again, they're wrapped around the Alcoa high polished level 1 wheels. A lot of weight savings because we realize that you're going to have a ton of weight back there. We want to make sure that we keep as much weight out of here as we possibly can. This uses 16.5-inch brakes. Now, inside of that, you've got a Rayco 20K taper leaf suspension system. This uses a leaf spring suspension because that is not going to be light when you throw something on the back of it. Inside of that, there is a 557 rear end ratio. And earlier I mentioned if these tires aren't enough to get you out, there is a locker in the center of this axle. This is one of those options that, yes, it costs a little more from the factory, but if it pulls you out one time without having to call a wrecker, it is already paid for itself. All of that is housed with a 22,000 pound Dana axle, which has been derated to 16,000 pounds. So that way we've got right at that 26,000 pound rating for this truck. Now, some of the other things back here in addition is we've got these nice poly fenders here, and these are welded to the body, which means you're so much less likely to have an issue or any breakage of any of that sort. These fenders themselves are super durable. There's people out there taking baseball bats to them in videos. There's no damage, there's no dents, there's no issues. They will bounce right back pretty much no matter what you drop on them. That to me is, once again, it's that durability, longevity, and keeping you out on the road instead of in the shop waiting for a new fender. So next week we are talking about the hoist here, because there's so many great things involved with that, and a big part is how we install it to make sure that you're going to get the longevity that you deserve. That being said, hit the subscribe button, the notifications bell. That way you know when the next video comes out. Thumbs up if you like it. I'd love to hear from you, as always. So do me a favor, keep those comments coming, put those right below for me. I will see you guys next week. As always, stay safe out there.